The first step to tackling garden pests is understanding who your enemies are. In the spring, as temperatures rise and plants begin to flourish, pests are also out in full force, looking for their next meal. Knowing what kind of pests are infesting your garden is crucial for choosing the right organic solution. Let's break down some of the most common garden pests you'll likely encounter during the spring season. One of the most common garden pests, aphids, are tiny insects that often show up in groups, sucking the sap out of plants. They're usually green, black, or even white, and their soft bodies make them easy to spot on the underside of leaves. You may notice the leaves of your plants turning yellow, wilting, or becoming distorted. This is because aphids feed on the plant's vital fluids, weakening the plant over time. Additionally, aphids secrete a sticky substance known as honeydew, which encourages the growth of mold and attracts ants. These pests can multiply quickly, so it's important to catch them early. Aphids are often attracted to young, tender plants, which means they'll target your seedlings or new growth. You'll often see clusters of them near the buds or new shoots of flowers and vegetables. Another major pest in spring gardens is the caterpillar. While they may look cute at first, these little munchers can do significant damage to your plants. Most caterpillars are the larvae of moths and butterflies, and they love to feast on the leaves of plants. Depending on the species, you may notice large, ragged holes in the leaves, or even entire leaves being eaten away. Common caterpillars that wreak havoc in the spring include the cabbage worm, tomato hornworm, and cutworm. Caterpillars can be hard to spot at first since they blend in with their environment. They tend to hide on the undersides of leaves or burrow into the soil, making them harder to detect. However, if you spot them, take action quickly, as they can defoliate a plant in a matter of days, especially in the early stages of growth. Slugs and snails are notorious for their slimy trails and love of fresh garden greens. These pests are most active during cool, wet weather, so they're a common nuisance in the spring. They feed on almost anything in your garden, from vegetables to flowers, and they have a preference for young, tender plants. Unlike insects, slugs and snails don't bite into plants but rather graze on the surface, creating smooth, round holes in leaves. You'll also find their slimy trails left behind as they move from one plant to another. They tend to feed at night, so you might not notice them during the day, but if you go out with a flashlight at dusk or dawn, you'll see them in action. Slugs and snails can be particularly damaging to delicate seedlings, and if left unchecked, they can completely wipe out small plants in just a few nights. They are known for their ability to travel long distances, so controlling them requires constant vigilance. Japanese beetles are another pest to watch out for in your garden. These shiny, metallic green beetles with copper-colored wings love to feast on leaves, flowers, and fruit. You'll often see them in large numbers, especially in late spring and early summer. They tend to eat the soft tissue between the veins of leaves, leaving behind skeletonized foliage that looks like lace. They're particularly destructive to rose bushes, grapevines, and other ornamental plants. Japanese beetles are also known to attack the roots of plants, especially in the larval stage when they are grubs. These beetles can lay their eggs in your lawn, and once the eggs hatch, the grubs can cause significant damage to your grass. If you're seeing damage to both your plants and your lawn, there may be Japanese beetles lurking around. Whiteflies are tiny, winged insects that love to attack plants in warm, sunny weather, especially in spring. They are similar to aphids in that they suck the sap from plants, weakening them over time. They're most commonly found on the undersides of leaves, where they gather in groups. Whiteflies secrete a sugary substance that can attract ants, and they can spread diseases from one plant to another. If you notice yellowing or curling leaves on your plants, or if the plants look stressed, whiteflies might be the culprit. Thrips are tiny, slender insects that can cause significant damage to your plants. These pests usually target flowers, fruits, and vegetables, leaving behind silver or bronze streaks on the leaves. Their feeding activity distorts the growth of plants, causing them to become stunted. They can also transmit plant diseases, making them even more dangerous. Thrips are particularly fond of tomatoes, peppers, and beans, so if you're growing these vegetables, be on the lookout. Understanding these common garden pests is the first step to dealing with them. Keep an eye out for the telltale signs of damage, and get familiar with what each pest looks like so you can identify them quickly. Early detection is key to preventing serious damage to your garden. The earlier you spot the pests, the easier it will be to take action before they wreak havoc on your plants.